You are listening to The Objective Jerk. And I am said jerk. What's going on? This is I've been on like a little bit of a roll here. You can tell my studio has changed. No. I reorganized my room a little bit. So now my things obviously a little different. I think I'm going to have to move the logo from over here to over here because it'll look better, I think. I don't know. Anyway, what's up? How's everybody doing? What's everybody doing? So, I think I'm going to try. Well, there is no planning with this. I don't plan anything. I just do. But I'm trying not to be like too hung up on something, whatever. So, I did a few political Charlie Kirk stuff. And then I did one about Creed. And I did another, or about Jimmy Kimmel was the last one, I think. And so now I'm going to talk about something else. But before I do, you guys ever seen Black Dynamite? It's actually easier to look at the camera this way. So maybe this is better so I can look like I'm looking at you. But Black Dynamite, it's like black exploitation. It's hard to say. Black exploitation that came out in the early 2000s, before 2010. I want to say like 2008, 2009, somewhere around there. I guess I could have looked it up right, but I'm not here to really talk too much about it. But anyway, it has Michael J. White, I think is his name. So he's a martial artist, actor. He's in lots of stuff, but he was in the Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises, the one that didn't like the Joker, the black dude. Anyway, but he's in tons of stuff. Mostly like, straight to video type stuff, but I don't know, he's always really good in everything he's in, I think, as far as, martial arts and stuff. But Black Dynamite is probably the best movie of his. I tried looking for it on Blu-ray a while back. Couldn't find it. But it's a hilarious. And, well, the trailer by itself is hilarious. Because it's just kind of poking fun about the old bad editing and just the way they did trailers. So the whole movie is, it's just all, I don't know, it's pretty funny. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's got, the action is pretty cool. And then it's hilarious. But so I was like, for some reason I thought about it again, and I was like, man, you know what? I want to share. I didn't want to just like find the trailer on YouTube and share it on like Facebook or whatever, because then it's like people have to click on it. I wanted to start playing it right away. So I, using an app or whatever, I recorded the trailer, except for like the very beginning and the very end, but basically recorded the trailer and put it up there so, people scrolling, or if they happen to come across their thing, it'll start playing and they can just either watch it. Because I think people will watch it more than if they have to click on it, But then, of course, there's like a copyright strike and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, come on, dude. Really? It's not like I'm a huge, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not a huge, maybe if I was a huge, I was sitting there thinking like, I'm not even a huge whatever, so how is it gonna, but I guess maybe me not being like a big thing, it could be used to help build up my audience or something, I guess maybe makes, I don't know, as opposed to someone that's, huge, then they get some free advertising. But still, it's just like, dude, it's free advertising, man, what? Like, I don't know, I guess there's lots of, YouTube channels that, or just content create. I say YouTube, but it's like, there's a bunch of different ones and different ones I watch. It's just, that's kind of like, when you say, I don't know, what's a word that doesn't mean something, but everybody uses it for, it's like a genre, but it's not really. I'm trying to think of something. Like everybody will call, well, I mean like X, everybody calls it Twitter still. They call it tweets, no matter what platform you're on. But there's something on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it. But anyway, but people will usually take a brand, like the first brand of something, and that's what they'll call something, even though like that's not what it is. That's just a brand. That's not. And so that's why I say YouTube a lot. But anyway, so people will do like there's music guys who do like history of music and music reviews and all this kind of stuff, and they can't even play the music at all. Like you used to be able to play like 30 seconds, I think. Anything longer than that and you could get copyright. And now it's like down to like nothing barely. So it's like they're just constantly, and the thing that sucks is they change the rules, but then those rules apply to all their previous stuff. So it's like they have to re-edit stuff down. It's like it's just stupid. It's like, dude, it's free advertising, man. People. I've learned about some bands and certain things through that kind of stuff. The industry, especially the music industry, is all screwed and it's all jacked up now because of streaming and everything. So I mean, I kind of get it on one aspect, but it's just like, man, dude, it's kind of they need to be. It needs to be a little more like they need to prove the copyright, or maybe like the first so many views, there's no issue, but once it surpasses this many views, then it's like, okay, the money it's making, then it's gonna get, go to the whatever. But it's like it's not even like I didn't have a thing that said, hey, whatever revenue you make from this, like I make anything from Facebook, but that will go to whoever and then like that's fine, I don't care, but it's like, no, you're gonna end up getting in trouble and losing your, and it's like they're trying to get me in trouble instead of just like, dude, take the money, whatever. But it's like I'm just trying to share a little bit of joy. I'm tired of focusing on all the negativity, so it's like, so anyway, so I was like, okay, so I deleted it, and then I just got a couple of the funny parts from the trailer, and I cut out a lot of the other stuff, so it was still kind of like it was a trailer of their trailer, but there's still music, I guess, and stuff like that. And again, that was the same thing. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I just clipped one scene that I think is the funniest scene, and it's I'll do a quick little breakdown. So Black Dynamite is like like a New York, takes place in the 70s. New York City cop knows kung fu, and his brother's killed. The CIA is trying to get him to work for them or whatever. But so he decides to he goes to like a meeting of I want to say it was like drug lords, or maybe it's just a meeting in his community. And he's like from now on I'm going after all the people who are selling drugs to the community. And then you have the one drug dealer guy's like, but Black Dynamite, I sell drugs to the community. I don't know. I just always thought that was so funny. And that dude is from Reno 911. The actor, but the whole trailer's hilarious. So anyway, if you haven't seen it, at least watch the trailer, Black Dynamite, and then you should watch the movie. It's pretty good. I laughed pretty hard, but that was a long time ago now. I wonder if I'd still feel the same. Anyway, so that's kind of what I was doing. But so while watching one of these content creators or YouTube, I watched this guy. I know his name is Tim, but I can't think of what. I don't have nothing open right now. If you want to know, hit me up and I'll let you know, but it's not hard to find. But this dude is like an older guy. He was probably, I want to say he probably missed the hippie. He's too young to be that, but he's older now. But anyway, really into music. He probably was a musician, and he's like, he just goes and shows, places throughout rock history that took place in LA, basically. I think he went to Michigan too once. But, just different places where things happen, some stories, album covers, and just all the, people's homes, musicians, rock stars from the 60s, 70s, all the way up until, I think the most recent kind of band he did something on Metallica. But anyway, he was doing one, and it was about like musicians and some Hollywood people that died very young, right? And he briefly talked about Bobby Fuller. So, who's Bobby Fuller? Yeah, I didn't know either. I mean, I think I probably heard his name before, but he was the American rock singer, songwriter, and guitarist best known for Let Her Dance, which I know. But in the cover of the Cricket song, I Fought the Law. which he recorded with his Bobby Fuller group. So like in the 50s or 60s, he recorded that. I fought the law and the law won. Remember that? Remember that song? But anyway, so this dude died, and he just kind of briefly went over like, oh, he was found in his mother's car, covered in gas, and he was like, his face was all bloody. And then just kind of, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what was that about? And that there was no, that's kind of it. It was just like, they don't know. So it's just kind of a crazy. So based off that, it looks like he was beaten to death, and then they were going to burn his car and him in it. But then for some reason, somebody walked up on him or something. I don't know. So I was like, what? So I just from that, I was like, I need to find out some more about this. And then I look up some stuff, and it's, it's not like I'm the only one. They're true crime people. This is what they do for their job. So, excuse me. But I don't know. I hadn't really heard about this, and so I thought I would share it with my 11 listeners. Okay. So I'm not gonna. Okay, so he did I fought the law and the law won. Okay. Anyway, so I'm gonna read the stuff on his death about Wikipedia, and then I got a couple articles here to talk about. So within months, within months of, I gotta move my thing so I can see my time. Gotta keep track of my time I'm recording. Okay, so I'm good. Anyway, okay, so within months of I Fought the Law becoming a top 10 hit. Wait, when was this? So I want to get a year exactly. 1966. Okay. Fuller was found dead in an automobile, which was his mother's, I think, parked outside his Hollywood apartment. The Los Angeles Deputy Medical Examiner, Jerry Nelson, performed the autopsy. According to Dean Coopers, the report states that Bobby's face, chest, and side were covered in petechial hemorrhages, probably caused by gasoline vapors and the summer heat. He found. Oh, okay. So maybe I misheard. It sounded a little more crazier than it, but he found no bruises, no broken bones, no cuts, no evidence of beating. Okay. All right. So I'm a little off there, but I was just going. I haven't read nothing. Okay. I was just going off that little thing and he didn't say it. I don't think it was just. Coopers further explained that boxes for accident and suicide were checked, but next to the boxes were question marks. Despite the official cause of death, some commentators believe he was murdered. Kind of sounds like he was. I mean, who would ever trying to kill yourself by breathing in gas fumes? That doesn't sound right. You know what I mean? I get the exhaust, taking the hose and the exhaust and putting it in your car, whatever. That somewhat makes sense, but this doesn't make any sense, I don't think. I think he was probably actually, because there was the thing I watched. He said something about the mob, right? And the mob was in LA at this time. Maybe somebody, a bookie or something, he owed people money. This is what I'm getting. This is just based on the very little bit of information I have. I think he was beaten to death, killed, and they were going to burn him. And then they were able to corrupt the autopsy report, saying there was no bruises or signs of beating or whatever. You know what I mean? That's what I'm going to guess. Let's see. Fuller was buried in Hollywood. His death was profiled in a segment, Unsolved Mysteries. I think that's one of the articles I pulled up. Yeah, Unsolved Mysteries right here. His death was also explored in 2015 episode, All Things Considered. So, I mean, it's not like it's, people talked about it. Program references the book, blah, 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 blah. Randy, sometime after the Unsolved Mystery segment in question initially aired, the cause of Fuller's death was officially changed from suicide to accident. Huh. Well, that's kind of crazy. Because it was people were like, hold on a second. What was an accident that he spilt gasoline all over himself? Where's the gas can? I'm curious. I'm curious. All right, let's see. Well, I guess I'll start off with the unsolved mystery one. Let's see what this one says. All right, police concluded the 60s musician committed suicide, but it does have a picture of him here. But his family suspects he was murdered. It's a picture of him laying down in this, like, draped over the car seat. So he was in the passenger seat, though. So he was in the passenger seat, and then draped fell over. If that's a legit photo, that seems weird too. On July 18th, 1966, the lifeless body of a popular young rock star was found in the front seat of his car. I thought it was his mom's car. In Hollywood, California. His name was Bobby Fuller. His band, the Bobby Fuller 4, BFF, hit it big when I Fought the Law shot to the top of the charts. They were 4 country boys from El Paso, and Bobby was the star. Randy Fuller, his brother, they said he'd have been like Elvis. Everybody that knew him described him as a musical genius. Bob Keene, owner of Delphi Records. Bobby was one of the most on-purpose musicians I've ever met in my life. He was gonna be it. Makes you wonder, like, what if something happened to Elvis and Elvis never became Elvis? So there was a gas can in the car. Like he was trying to... But dude, that would take forever, man. That just doesn't seem like that's... I don't know. When the police suggested that Bobby Fuller committed suicide, it was the beginning of a mystery that continues to this day. When I heard Bobby was dead and that somebody had said he had committed suicide, I thought that's not the Bobby I know. I mean, it never is, really. Well, not never. You know, I guess a lot of people, they commit suicide and it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Like Marvin Gaye, he had already tried a couple times. And so some people say, like, that he did death by father. You know how people do, or death by father, suicide by cop. He was suicide by father because he pretty much knew his father was going to shoot him. Yeah, Bobby Fuller was born with the music in his blood. Okay, I don't want to... Okay, let's see. So from the moment his body was discovered, police thought it was suicide, even though Bobby's body was in full rigor mortis when they found him. This suggests that he had been dead for several hours. And according to Bobby's mother, suicide just didn't make sense. She also claimed that Bobby's car had been gone all night. So I guess maybe I misheard again. So it wasn't her car, it was his car. All night, and was not there when she checked during the following day. It wasn't until 5 p.m. when Bobby's mother went to pick up the mail that the car had mysteriously appeared with her son's body inside. Yeah, so he went somewhere. Someone beat the hell out of him. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they... Is that a thing? Do people commit suicide by breathing in fuel fumes? Let me see.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thanks again for listening to The Objective Jerk. I greatly appreciate it. If you could like, subscribe, comment on wherever you're finding this, and you can also email me at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. So hope you're enjoying it, and please continue on with the episode. Have people committed suicide by breathing fuel fumes? Carbon monoxide, yeah, that's not the same thing. Helium, car fumes. Okay, maybe gas. Maybe instead of fuel, I'll do gas. See, I don't think it's a thing, dude. Carbon monoxide, yes. Carbon monoxide. Suicide by poisonous gas. Authorities responsible to arrest and man committed suicide by inhaling noxious fumes. Why have people stopped committing suicide with gas? By the 70s, when the transition to natural gas was complete, the number of gas suicides had dropped to 0. So, I mean, but it seems, I don't know, it's not like it's well known, though, you know? So it does kind of seem weird. Anyway, From the moment, where was I at? Son of a bitch. And to pick up her son's body inside. Okay. Problem here is that dead men don't drive cars. But from the picture, it looks like he was in the passenger side and bent over, so that's weird. And that car got into that lot, and Bobby did not drive it. So the question is, who did? Where'd it come from? Why'd they bring it back? Where'd they go? Yeah, see, it does kind of seem like something's going on. I mean, some of the things that were setting off red flags for me were apparently not, you know, it doesn't matter because I was wrong about the information. But still, there is something weird. The death scene itself was strange. There was blood on his face, chest, and the car seat. His body and clothes were soaked with gasoline. On the floorboard was a partly full gas can with a rubber hose attached to the spout. See, it seems like he was going to get torched, and then they decided against it. And then maybe they were like, I don't know, we're not going to be able to burn it, or for whatever reason. Oh, if we do this, then it'll just seem like he inhaled gas, maybe, or I don't know. About the same time I got there, the plainclothes detective threw the can of gas in the dumpster. He said it's just another rock and roll punk. He committed suicide or something like that. And yeah, I mean, police were not the most astute back then. But then he could have been, you know, paid to do that. At first, it was thought that Bobby died after drinking gasoline, but the autopsy revealed no gasoline in his stomach. What about anything else? The gas, yeah, it's just weird. On one page, it's marked an accident. On another page, there's a question mark next to the word accident, the question mark next to the word suicide. There was nothing conclusive to suggest that Bobby had committed suicide. The other unusual aspect of this case was that Bobby looked as if he had been beaten up. Now, some of this could have been the result of early decomposition of the body. Yeah, but that wasn't that quick. Or it could have been earlier injuries, bruises, what have you. But 2 or 3 people said that he had a broken finger and that there was blood on his shirt. Nothing seemed to point to suicide, but the police were insistent. See, it seems like they were kind of paid. Corruption was much easier to get away with back then. And I mean, it's not like it doesn't go on now, but she did say that his mom had been upset in recent, his mom said that he had been upset in recent days, but she did not suggest that he had been depressed or despondent. And she was later very upset that they had concluded that he had committed suicide because she believed that he was incapable of that. But I mean, most people, when it's kind of a surprise like that, they think that. A lot of times you don't know or don't realize it. Those closest to Bobby admit that in the days leading up to his death, he was unhappy with Bob Keene and Delphi. So Bob Keene had him killed. He hired somebody and he paid off the police. There we go. That's it. Case closed. Buddy Holly was his god, and he wanted to play like Buddy Holly. And I was constantly saying, no, don't do that because you're Bobby Fuller. You have your own talent. We were at odds sometimes. And yeah, see, he's trying to make it. I'm gonna have to look up this. What's his name? Bob Keene. But if it wasn't suicide, was it murder? The answer may lie with a beautiful young woman known as Melody. Someone Edna Gunderson, his mom, says Fuller kept a secret. Even Bobby's closest friends and his mother, didn't really know much about her, except that he was occasionally seeing her, and it was very much clandestine kind of affair. Some believe Bobby kept the affair secret because Melody's boyfriend, who may have had ties to the mob. So there you go. There's the mob part of it. Was still in the picture. That's probably what it was. And Edna Gunderson. There was a very nefarious character in LA at the time. He was operating a number of nightclubs, and he had a reputation for being a violent man. Melody was supposedly his girlfriend. Bobby did have a certain amount of affection for her and tried to see her occasionally. That's all we know. But that's all it takes. Dude, all that guy had to do was see them together one time. And, I'm still going to look up Bob Keene, but that's probably what it was. He probably He probably beat him up and was going to burn him in his car. But then maybe one of his buddies was like, dude, man, they might come looking at us or something. If we just do it, make it look like suicide, then no one's going to question it. That's probably what it was. Bam, case solved. All right. Randy Fuller remembers that Bobby had planned to go to a party with Melody the night before he was found dead. Melody was going to drive him there and introduce him to a lot of big-time people. And he said that there'd probably be a lot of, drinking and everything else going on. I told him not to do anything that would get him in trouble. All right. What happened at the party is unknown, but soon after Bobby's death, there were rumors of a drug overdose and a possible cover-up. Bob Keene said he heard the stories. I heard that Melody had turned Bobby on to doing acid a couple times. One of the possibilities that he was at a party with other celebrities and something happened, an accident, possibly or a fight. Of course, they didn't want to be involved with it, these celebrities. So somebody said, well, look, let's make it look like a suicide. I mean, I guess that's possible too. However, there were no drugs in his system, okay? And no one could explain why he was doused with gasoline. Yeah. Oh, here's an update. After the initial broadcast, what year did this even come out? I don't even know. After the initial broadcast of this story, Unsolved Mysteries received a call from the mysterious woman known as Melody. Oh, wow. She confirmed many of the facts we presented in our story, but she disagreed with two important details. First, she says she was never involved with anyone who had ties to the mob. Damn it! All right. And second, she insists that she was not with Bobby the night he died, and that she has no knowledge of the alleged party. She also believes that Bobby did not commit suicide. More recently, the cause of Bobby's death was officially changed from suicide to accident. His family would like to exhume his body in hopes that new technology might be able to solve the mystery of his death. Man, the mob one sounded good. Bob Keene. So now it's back to Bob Keene. All right, here's another little article about it. I'm going to try and skim through it. Stuff that we've already talked about. Okay, let's do in his history. Okay, Bobby, the death of his half brother. I want to start reading with Randy gone. Bobby Todd. Okay, so they had another brother. Despite the recognition, on July 18, 1966, the band was to have a meeting, but Bobby never showed up. Dan Epstein wrote in his linear notes of the CD entitled Bobby Fuller, something. Okay, nobody knew where the young singer went or whom he had gone to see. The only thing the band and his mother knew was that Bobby was not home. Just kind of reading because I don't want to just read the same stuff over and over again. There was yet other theories regarding his death. According to Epstein, thugs were sent to kill Fuller by a mobster who was an investor in Bob Keene's label. See, so now the mob's back in it. All right. The mobster would benefit from life insurance. Maybe that's what it was. Because that kind of makes a little more sense. Something. Life insurance. The Bob Keene guy. I'm going to look him up real quick. Okay. Let's see. One more thing. Where am I at? Dang, I'm at 30 minutes already? Crap. All right. This is going to be quick, though. Bob Keene. Let's see. Bob Keene. Delphi Records. There we go. Let's look up this guy. This guy's still alive? Oh, no, was. Okay, so he's dead. Oh, 2009. Christian is also sometimes known as Bob Keene, was an American producer. He was a producer and manager of Richie Valens. See, I wonder if, he probably made a buttload of money when Richie Valens died. Wait, no, Richie Valens. Yeah, that was before. Oh, come on, let me see. So, yeah, so this was 6 years before. So, not realizing it at the time, but he made a bunch of money off of Richie Valens dying because of life insurance. And maybe took advantage, who knows? Died in 87. That's it. They ain't got no information on him. I don't trust him. I don't trust him. Wow. Keene who died. That's kind of weird. There's not much information on him. Keene who died suddenly. Kidney failure. Wait, hold on. No, by the time Valens died. Okay, hold on, let's see. He immediately put Valens under contract. Shortened his name. Yeah, studio with Phil Spector, another great guy. Valens hurt. Come on, let's go. By the time Valens died 8 months later in a plane crash, Buddy Holly, he had 2 more hits. Also, Obama came out after he died? That was like during. Keene. I just watched that movie with Lou Diamond Phillips not that long ago, too. Meanwhile, he became one of the hottest record producers in business. A lot of people came to the door. He worked with a lot of people, I guess. Okay, in the 60s, he recorded Bobby Fuller. Scene, I fought the Lala just a year after the Fuller died. Under mysterious circumstances, his body was found in his car. After folding his record companies. Oh, wait, so Keene, shaken by the tragedy of Fuller, decided to get out of the business. I don't know about that. After folding his record companies, he promoted the careers of his young sons. Keene was born. Okay, so I think the producer Bob Keene, I think he had a hand. I'm not saying he did it. He hired somebody, obviously. That's what I'm thinking. Because the whole thing is weird. The car wasn't there, then it was there. Saying he had rigor mortis, and then like early stages of I don't know, but he wasn't dead for that long, was he? What are the hours that he was dead? Or even if he was, by the time the car was there at 5, it doesn't line up. He was murdered without a doubt. He was murdered. And I think people tried to hide the fact that he was murdered by making it look like a suicide. Like because he's covered in gas. I mean, he wasn't drunk. There was no alcohol, you know what I mean? Like, pass out or whatever. But the picture shows him with his face and the steering wheel's right there. So that means he was on the passenger side. So I think he was beat up and they were going to torch him in his car, but they decided against it. I don't know who they is. I mean, maybe it was, I think the producer had a hand in it, but they figured that it'd be better to make it look like stage it as a suicide to, stop people from really looking too much into it so they could get away with it. And they did. They probably, gave some money to some of the cops and maybe even the guy that did the autopsy. I mean, he put the questions mark there, so maybe he wasn't paid, but maybe he was instructed by somebody. So he was like, "Whoa, don't put on there that he's whatever." So he put He put the question marks or something. I wonder what happened to that guy. That's what I'm thinking. He was taken out. The producer was probably involved somehow. Decided to make it look like a suicide, and then this guy gets out of the record business. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking happened. What do you think? Was it suicide? If not, who did it? Let me know. All right, that's it. Thanks for hanging out. This was a little bit of a departure from my regular programming, but whatever. I'll see you next time. All right, God bless. Bye. You just put yourself through another episode of The Objective Jerk. Thanks again for hanging out with me. Please email me at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, comment, wherever you find this, follow. It all helps. But thanks again, and I'll see you next time.